central part of what is today West Germany, in the rolling hills and the agrarian society, there's a sleepy little village called Langanaltheim. Back about 1730, born in this little town was a man by the name of Johannes Lastinger. As he grew into adulthood, he decided as a single young man to make his way to the city of Salzburg, and in Salzburg took up residence there. The Catholic Inquisition came along, and the Catholics issued an ultimatum to all of the Lutheran Protestants in Salzburg that they could forfeit their property and leave or die. Not having much of an alternative there, they chose to leave the city of Salzburg, immigrated northward across Germany to the English Channel, and applied for citizenship in England. They were granted citizenship with a provision that they sail to the United States and help to colonize the colonies. On board one of those ships was Johannes Lastinger, and he traveled to the United States, landed in Charleston, South Carolina. On board the ship, on the way over, he met a woman by the name of Barbara. They fell in love, and the day they landed in Charleston, South Carolina, they were married and left immediately the same day to go to Savannah, Georgia, just across the river, settled in a little town called Ebenezer, which came to be a very large Salzburger community. And in fact, it was so large at the time that they arrived, at the time Johann and Barbara arrived, the only property available was 11 miles outside the town of Ebenezer. Today, all that remains of Ebenezer is the church in which Johann and Barbara worshipped and in which their children were christened. It still exists today. There's a marker, a bronze marker, marking it as a historic site about 20 miles northwest of the city of Savannah, Georgia. Here's where it all began, though, as far as we Americans are concerned. This was the home, Langenaltheim, the home of Johannes Lastinger. In the background behind me are some of the buildings that you'll see today, and in the next little while we're going to be giving you some sights through the town of Langanaltheim. We'll take you to the two churches, the two Lutheran churches that still exist today. We will take you to the home of Ludwig Lastinger and his mother, Frau Lastinger, the only two remaining Lastingers that live today in the city of Langenaltheim. And I hope, at least for the next few minutes, you enjoy our tour of the town of Langenaltheim, home of Johann Lastinger.
We'll be sleeping at the Guest House Rose, and as is typical of the European houses, across the street you'll see a house that has windows and a porch that is full of verbena flowers. And in the garden below you'll not only see tomato bushes, but tomato plants, but also all different kind of flowers: roses, dahlias, lazy Susans, sultana, asters, well, it might be a type of sunflower. All kind of flowers over there in the flower bed that are beautiful.
Mums.
Whenever we were here the last time, they had much larger blossoms. I don't know if this is just in different varieties they're trying. I see some marigolds and all just a bed full of flowers.
Looks like the tomatoes are getting ripe.
Yeah. It's just beautiful and typical of all of Germany.
This is an authentic German wheelbarrow. Very German. These are bleeding heart. This is the, I guess it's all pink. This is a double sultana, or impatient. I don't know what that is. Looks like a little daisy. This is ivy. Here's a gloxinia. Right here, and then this is the red bleeding heart. This is that goes into the hotel where we're staying.
We soon arrived at the Guest House Rose, beautiful little guest house in the center of the village of Langanaltheim. The family unloads their belongings out of the car and carries in their overnight bags for our one-night stay here in the little village of Langanaltheim.
Bye, Dad. You got the keys. Come on here. Everybody but him.
And I don't have all the keys in every crowd. You got one of them.
Did you get a shot of this? We're not leaving you. We're waiting on you.
And as you can see, everybody does their part, even if it means dragging your Snoopy bag along behind you. We found the guest house closed on the day we arrived. We had to go to Ludwig Lastinger's house. He made a telephone call and found the owner of the guest house. She arranged to open up and let us in. We found rooms to our liking and checked in to Guest House Rosé.
No, we gotta go up these stairs again. I'm sorry. Minutes to 4. We're here in our nice room with beautiful view, nice ceiling, private bath. It's a really nice place, and we're enjoying our time here. I see, it's a sink, isn't it? My daughter's pointing out all the fine features in this room, to include a private bath, a bathtub. That's a stand-up shower. That's a shower. Is that nice? Tell Grandpa what it is. What is it? It's a shower. How about that? And Sarah, what do you think about this?
Fine.
It's fine, huh?
Why are we shutting the door?
Open up the door, Rachel.
Blanket, spread, sheet, all in one. It's down-filled, very soft, lightweight. The pillows are squared rather than rectangular, as we are accustomed to.
Does it keep you warm?
Yes, they keep you warm in the winter. You don't need layers and layers like we're accustomed to. You just need the one.
And that's all they give, just that one?
Just the one, and it's laid out like they give you one for each person.
Makes making a bed real easy, doesn't it?
Yes.
House Rose was a beautiful place then, but it apparently has undergone a remodeling project since then, and they're in the process of enlarging now. They're building a new addition on that's going to be quite large. In fact, it looks like it might even be bigger than the original unit was itself. Bob and Shirley Brennan were with us the first time that we came, and this will be new to them, of course. It'll be a little surprising to them to be able to see what's happening here at Guest House Rose. We found the guest house closed this Sunday when we arrived, but fortunately Ludwig, cousin Ludwig I'll call him, was able to find the owner of the guest house, and she opened up and gave us 3 very beautiful rooms that more than adequately met our need. So here we are at Guest House Rose. We checked into the Guest House Rosé and then boarded our van again and made our way through the streets of Langenaltheim. It's not a very large village. In fact, in the course of this film, you will see almost every street in the town of Langenaltheim. We made our way now to the home of Ludwig and Emma Lastinger. Emma is the mother, Ludwig is the son. He's 49 years old, a bachelor, the only remaining Lastingers in the town of Langanaltheim.
The Americans are known as the Dallas. Give it here.
We're now turning onto the main street.
And we're about to get hit by a main Volkswagen.
I'd just soon not get hit by a Volkswagen. It's a Sunday afternoon and the streets in Langanaltheim are very bare.
I'm Friday. Come up for Saturday, I'll give you Sunday. Sarah, whenever we stop.
As we've already mentioned to you, Langanaltheim is basically an agricultural town. And so if you'll pay close attention to some of the houses, it may be that you will even see barns attached to the house itself. Is nestled in the midst of many, many beautiful little valleys, crisscrossed by acres and acres of farmland. Beautiful, lush farmland. Be able to see a great deal of detail here, but this is a map of the streets of Langanaltheim to give you an idea of the relative size of the town. We made our way to the home of Ludwig and Emma Lastinger in hopes of being able to somehow communicate with them that we wanted an interpreter. On our last visit, they found an interpreter and we spent the evening. She translated for us and we were able to communicate quite well. Somehow or other, I think we failed to communicate to them what we wanted on this occasion, though. And we did finally determine that her name was Marion, and in the process found out that he was also referring to a Margaret Lastinger, who was in Kaiserslautern, Germany, apparently stationed there with the U.S. Army, and he had met her. Let's tune into a little bit of this conversation. Ludwig and Emma Lastinger. Rock quarry? Rock. Quarry. But maybe not. Maybe not. He doesn't seem to be understanding the word.
Steinbruch.
Stein. Ja, Steinwerk. Stein. Steinwerk. Yeah, Stein is rock, stone. I am attempting here to get Ludwig to tell us about his job at the rock quarry. And Frau, Nome?
Emma?
Emma?
Ja.
Emma Lastinger. Ja. Und Ludwig Lastinger. Ja. Mein Name ist Arnold Louis. Arnold Louis Lastinger. And I have
Dat is zo weet niet mitzut. 75, 72, 79.
49.
49.
49. You 49.
Ik ook 49, ja.
49.
August, 2 August.
And my birthday, let's see, my birthday is 10th day. They put the day first, don't they, Alan?
Yeah.
10th day, 6 months, 39.
39.
Yeah? Second day, 8th month, 39. Aha. 8th month. So I'm 2 months older than you. 20 months. Months. Who knows? And I can't begin to tell you how frustrating it is to try to communicate to somebody when you want to talk to them so badly, but you're limited by the language barrier. Ein,
zwei,
zwei,
drei,
drei,
vier,
vier,
fünf,
fünf
Sechs.
Son.
5 Söhne, ja.
5 Son.
5
Ja.
Söhne, ja. Haben sie da schon gesagt, haben sie letztes Mal schon gesagt, 5 Söhne.
5 Söhne.
Und bei der Margit Lastinger, das sind 4 Mädel. Also sie sind
Girls?
4, ja,
Mädel.
nein, so wie sie ungefähr. So sind 4 Tochter bei denen. Die Margit Lastinger hat 4 Schwestern. Ne? Also es sind 4, also 4 Mädel sind das praktisch. Ne?
4.
4 Frauen.
How do you say girls? 4 Fräulein?
4 Fräulein, ja.
4 Fräulein.
Where's that at?
Baumhof, Kaiserslautern.
She's the U.S. military?
Yeah, that's what I understood. U.S. Army, USA Army.
Versorgung.
Margareta, sprechen Sie Deutsch? Sprechen Deutsch?
Nein, der Curry. Der Curry und Margit auch. Margit noch besser wie der Curry.
Oh. Okay. Dankeschön.
No, not right now.
These folk obviously are very cordial and outgoing people,
She's showing you how to do it.
not just because they're Lastingers, but because they're Germans. Everywhere we went throughout Germany, we found people just this cordial, just this friendly, just this outgoing, and it's a pleasure to get to know the German people. I guess maybe it's a little sentimentality on my part, but when I come back to Germany, I always feel like I've come home. And these folks just have a way of making you feel at home, as you can tell. Frau Lastinger acts as though she thinks we understand every word she's saying. Yeah?
Always warm in the house, she's saying.
Für Kinderfräulein gemacht, also Kinderbaby, sie wird gemacht. Die kann schon, die hat sich da viel mit denen abgegeben und auch sie hat es in der Schule gelernt, ne? Englisch. Die ist
School.
Ja.
Maybe you're one of the lucky ones who can speak German and you can understand what Emma Lastinger is saying.
Das kann er halt mir jetzt nicht, der ist ja weit fort, ne?
Ja.
Wenn wir das gewusst hätten, dass sie kommen, dann hätten wir sagen können, er kommt, ne? Wir brauchen die zum Dolmetschen, ne? Ja, vielleicht
All kinds of surprises.
was.
I mentioned to you a moment ago that many of the barns in Germany are built into the house itself. Here, even in the guest house where we stayed, there was a barn built adjacent to the guest house, and these were cows that we found in the barn. My wife there just moved some of the silage, I suppose, closer to the cows so they could eat. In a moment, we're going to be joined by a great-grandmother who was just kind of joyful to talk to, even though she didn't understand English. And, of course, you already know we don't understand much German.
They just chop it down and bring it to them.
Ze hebben schon vor mal an Nitro Gesicht. Ja.
Ich kann sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Bitte?
Ich kann sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Sie kennen nicht Deutsch.
Ich kann sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Nicht?
No.
Wie dann?
What can I say? Good.
Hi, my mother.
And this is Mama, y'all.
Mama.
Mutter.
And this is
Mutter.
Mama.
Yeah. And Oompa and Uma. Uma, Oompa.
Ja.
No M. Oompa.
Got the Oompa.
Uma. I.
Oh, great grandma.
Great.
Oh.
yeah, I great grandma.
Yeah.
Die is zo schön, ne?
Where's Rachel? Now, since I'm producing this film, I'm going to exercise a little executive privilege here, and you're just going to have to forgive me as my granddaughter and I sing her rendition of Jesus Loves Me. So, little ones to Him be, they are weak, but He loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. What's this? For the Bible tells me so. Good. What? One more time. One more time. All right, one more time. Here we go, all right? Are you ready? Here we go. Jesus loves me. This I know. For the Bible tells me. Now, don't you just have to agree? That's one of the prettiest little granddaughters in the whole wide world. Naturally, she's a Lastinger. Is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me.
50, 40. Eine Person 27.
Well, our stay in Langanaltheim is all too soon coming to a close, and so the next morning we go down to our Frühstück, which is their breakfast, and then we square up with our bill. And here the Frau, who is in charge of the guest house, is explaining the bill to me in her best German, and I'm trying to understand in my best English. 5 persons, 2 children. 5 persons is 135, the 2 children is 13, for a total of 148. And
Kaffee.
Coffee, okay.
Das letzte, ne?
Now keep in mind that a Deutsch mark at the time of this transaction was about 55 cents, so 155 Deutsch marks was somewhere around $80, $85 for the night's lodging for 3 rooms and breakfast for all 7 of us. 151.40.
Ja.
151.40. Let's see what I've got here. Okay.
Is it 150 or 140?
No, right in there.
Well, with the coffee, it's 151.40. Okay. Okay.
Wait. Oh, 151.40.
Yeah.
I thought you said 150, 140.
Okay, I need your money.
We can't watch the TV.
Okay. Brunnengasse. Before leaving the guest house, we get instructions on how to get to the house of Mr. Hans Kett, who is a craftsman who makes all kinds of artifacts out of the stone that's taken from the quarry there in Langenaltheim. At this point, she is about to draw me a map showing me exactly how to get to his house. And the next few scenes you see are going to be in the house of Hans Kett.
Die zeigst du beide.
Nomi.
Ah, ja.
Nomi? You, Nomi.
Kett.
No. Kett, yeah, Kett. This is Kett. Kett is the craftsman who makes all these beautiful pieces of artwork that you see in here, and there's all kinds of things. It appears that they are fossil remains from prehistoric times that are found in the rocks at the quarry here in town. The local folks call it the Steinwerks. Steinwerks. Yeah. And notice, for instance, here is what could be a large shrimp or a small lobster, crawfish of some kind. A fish here. You may want. Can you get a good close-up shot of that fish there? The head and the bones, the tail, very well-defined tail here, with the dorsal and the dorsal fins. Then here's another shot of a shrimp or a crawfish of some kind. Here's a dragonfly, well-preserved fossil. And then various different types of fossil. I believe this is a horseshoe crab. Horseshoe crab, another little crab of some sorts. All of these are fossils found in the rocks here in the village of Langanaltheim. Almost every piece of rock that's quarried has some type of fossil remains in it. It's just difficult to tell exactly what is what. But here, for instance, is a very large fish. He has it marked Hypsicormus. I'm not an archaeologist or I forget what they call a fellow that deals with fossils, but nonetheless, this is a very large fish, well-defined fins, bone structure, spine, head, eye, and so forth. That's a very expensive piece. 5,600 marks would be about 25 to almost $3,000 for this piece right here. Handle it gently, girls. $3,000. This is 3,600 schnabelfish. Barrier can be broken, you know. As okay if I take a hammer and hit you on top of the head and take some of your clocks, okay?
Yeah, okay.
What a mean trick to play on poor, unsuspecting Mr. Hans Kett. This gentleman is the Steinwerk. He makes beautiful stonework.
Don't pick it up like that.
Yes, ma'am.
We paid for that.
And Frau, Kett. Kett. Yeah, Frau Kett. Frau Herr Kett and Frau Kett. Kett. Ah, there's the name. Hans Kett. Frau Kett. Yeah. And these folk, they are obviously real craftsmen. Everywhere you go in their home is beautiful. They've got rock and stonework everywhere. The floors are beautiful. Even in their bedrooms, they've got clocks stacked up on the sides. Scores and scores of clocks. Ranging in price from, well, this one is 100 Deutschmarks, which would be $55. $55 American dollars. Down to this one is 65 Deutschmarks, which would be approximately $40. About $35. About $35. This is 120 Deutschmarks, roughly $65 to $70. And then overhanging on the wall over here are several more sunburst clocks. This one 125 Deutschmarks. 150 Deutschmarks, and that's approximately $80, $85 worth up here, this beautiful one up here. So as you can see, they're beautiful pieces of craftsmanship. The table here is a good example. This one is polished, highly polished. It's inlaid, rock from the surrounding area, from the quarry and other places, inlaid and highly polished. And take a look at the floor. Beautiful inlaid flooring. This the whole house just has the mark of craftsmanship on it. And we are driving through some of the newer section of Langanaltheim. These houses, some of them were under construction at the last time we came through the town, about 1983, October of 1983. Most of them are finished now. The landscaping is done, and as you can see, they are beautiful, beautiful homes. Nice, pretty flowers. The landscaping is beautiful. The buildings themselves are immaculate. Very, very pretty homes. Have no idea what the cost of these homes would be. Be interesting to know.
You're on autofocus.
Beautiful homes.
They're still constructing over there.
Mm-hmm. Look at this beautiful home here. Isn't that thing beautiful?
They haven't finished the garage.
Cigarette machine right in somebody's yard.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, there's cigarette machine.
Weird place to put a cigarette machine, right on the side of the street in a residential area.
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, I heard something.
Well, turn it off.
I kept hearing something. I didn't know what it was. Sarah, don't press it.
Beautiful, beautiful town. One of the things you may have noticed about Langenaltheim is true of almost all of Germany. There's never a scrap of paper on the side of the street. It's just an immaculately clean country. In the Langanaltheim area, you can notice some of the designs in the rock itself. A house made from the rock, from the quarry in Langanaltheim.
Yes, ma'am.
Except for the style of architecture and the cleanliness of the streets, this could be any suburban city in the U.S., I suppose. Except that I don't believe Americans take as much pride in the appearance of their streets and homes as the people here seem to do. And these yards look like they've been manicured.
What's the cut?
Are you finished? Well, hurry up.
As you can see, there are houses still being built in this subdivision.
That's pretty.
As we crest the hill here, over the top of the buildings, you can see the stone quarry. This is where Ludwig Lastinger works, off in the distance.
Ludwig works in the barn?
When the cars and trucks are not passing by the quarry here, you can hear the sounds of the hammers in the background as scores and scores of workers are chipping out the rock, the various layers of rock. We've been looking at hundreds of years of history in the town of Langanaltheim, but right here in this valley, in this pit, are millions of years of history. Fossilized remains of fish and animal life and plant life dating back for millions of years, prehistoric plant life. It's in this quarry that Ludwig Lastinger works, and from this quarry is mined millions and millions of pounds, perhaps even millions of tons of rock yearly that are scattered throughout all the world, and various Unterer Hauptstrasse, I think it's called. At any rate, it is a street looking in toward Langenaltheim. Here you can see the spires of both the churches, both Lutheran churches in the town of Langenaltheim. It's impossible to say which of the two churches in Langenaltheim that Johann was dedicated or baptized in, and which one he, in fact, worshipped in during his teenage years before he left to come to America. This might well have been it. This is the smaller of the two churches that are found in Langenaltheim, but it's exactly the same church that was here in the mid-1700s. Little is changed except a coat of paint now and then, and perhaps a little remodeling along the way, but the church still stands in the same spot and basically the same structure as it was over 200 years ago. This is, of course, the other church in Langenaltheim, and it's the larger of the two, as you might have already guessed. We've met a real nice lady here that has gone to get a key to the church, and she's going to take us through and take us inside the church. Nome.
Ich verstehe.
Nome? Mein Nome?
Hübner.
Hübner,
ja.
Hübner.
Das steht an der Tafel, an der Tore. Kirchengasse 1. Wenn Sie reingehen in die Kirche.
And Hübner. Mein Name ist Lastinger.
Lastinger?
Ja.
Haben wir auch in Langenaltheim.
Ja, Ludwig.
Ludwig, ja.
United States, USA.
So.
Johann Lastinger.
Johann
Lastinger in 1730. Johann geboren in Langenaltheim.
Ja.
1730. Generation.
So.
Ja. And mein son.
So.
Papa. Ja.
Mein Sohn in Australien.
Australian?
Und wir ein Sohn.
Ja? Yeah, Australian.
25 Jahre schon.
Oh, your son. Whatever else she said, I have no idea. But she thinks I know. Dankeschön. Dankeschön.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go in and take a look. The girls may want to see this too. The date above the door tells the story. The building apparently has been here since 1607. To those of us who live in America, that seems incredible. To be in a church that's 350 or so years old is just unheard of. We just don't have any such thing in the United States. But here's a church built in 1607. Let's go inside and see what it looks like. It is, of course, a Lutheran church. Germany having been the home of Martin Luther and the home of the Protestants, as a matter of fact. I don't quite know how to interpret the figures on the board, but it would appear that the attendance in this church is probably 200 to 250 or 60 people. If so, they have a full auditorium when all the people are in. Again, as is typical with European churches, you'll notice that the pulpit is high and elevated. The altar is totally separate and apart from the pulpit. There is, of course, a glass chandelier and a beautiful and ornate marble altar. The pews are wooden pews, but they do have a fabric lining to make them more comfortable to sit in. If the church has a heating and cooling system, it is not evident. There's no ductwork. There are some what appears to be strip heaters in the windows, as a matter of fact. The architecture tells us a lot about the age of the church. You're looking now at the ceiling. I guess the technical term is you're looking at the ceiling of the church again. And as you can see, it's very ornate. Coming down now, we're going to see the walls of the balcony, and they appear to be lined with paintings of the 12 apostles. Except my wife tells me there are 13 of them. I have no idea who the 13th one would be, unless it might be Jesus himself, or it could be the Apostle Paul. At any rate, there are no names on them, so we don't know who those paintings represent. If my photographic memory serves me well, I believe the picture on the left is a picture of Martin Luther. I don't really know who the picture on the right is, but this being the home of the Lutheran Church and the Reformation, it's not it wouldn't be uncommon to find a picture of Martin Luther displayed in a Lutheran church.
Brooks, is that going to reach his phone?
You're going to need to come closer than that.
No.
Because the flash will be affected.
I didn't think it's been flashing.
It will in here.
Here, give commentary.
I don't know whether Johann ever mounted the steps behind this pulpit or not, but he might well have done so. And it feels, for me, being Pentecostal, it feels a little strange for me to be some 15 feet above the congregation. But I, of course, feel right at home in a pulpit. So this is quite an experience for me to be standing behind the pulpit of what could very probably be the very same church that my earliest known ancestor in America came from, a church in Langanaltheim. This is the pulpit from which the pastor preaches the Sunday sermons.
Did you read about in the Bible or Old Testament
Solomon's temple hung out there next to the lines of the walls. Together the best from all countries. The cedars of Lebanon.
Many churches, both in America and in Europe, put more money in their pipe organs than most of us put into the entire church. I don't know that this pipe organ is that costly, but it is nonetheless a pipe organ. I rather doubt that this is the same baptistry that was used to baptize Johannes Lastinger. I suppose it could have been, but I rather doubt it. It's made of wood, and probably over the space of the last 200 years or so, the wood would have decayed and the baptistry would have broken or rotted or whatever. But this may well be the one. It is in the church in which Johann may very well have been a worshiper and may well have been baptized.
This landscape is beautiful. What would that be? That wouldn't be Martin Luther, would it?
No. Outside the church is a very beautiful little garden surrounding the church, and it was not quite autumn yet in Germany at the time of this shooting, so the leaves are still on the trees and the grass is quite green. Throughout Europe, the sign of the city's name with a red bar through it indicates that you're leaving the city. Our visit to Langanaltheim, I hope, has been a memorable experience for you. For us, it was a day and a night of memories that we will cherish forever. We visited in the home of Ludwig and Emma Lastinger. We also visited in the home of a craftsman, an artisan, that produces works of art with the rock that's quarried here in the Langenaltheim area. We took you on a driving tour through the town, showed you some of the older buildings dating back hundreds of years. We saw the two churches, one of which no doubt was the church home for Johann Lastinger in the mid-1700s. And then we took you on a trip, a little excursion through the newer parts of the town of Langanaltheim. For those of you whose ancestry dates back, as mine does, to a German heritage of 200 or 300 years ago, if you feel like I feel right now, you kind of feel that you've come home. It's a beautiful area, and even as accustomed to westernization as I am today and living in a highly westernized world, still, when I come back to the rolling hills and the agrarian society of Langenaltheim, there's something in me that feels like I've discovered my roots. I'm home again. Langanaltheim, a study in history.